In this chapter, let's talk about Confucianism, a very important part of China. But before that, let me show you some pictures. This is important to understand Confucianism. This is a gold atom. On the periodic table, it's number 79. So it means there are 79 electrons, and inside the nucleus are 79 protons, of course, and 118 neutrons if we ignore all the isotopes. Okay, here's another atom. You might think it's the same atom, but it's not. The number of the electron is different. It's 80, not 79. This is a mercury atom. On the periodic table, it's number 80, right behind gold. So 80 electrons and 80 protons inside the nucleus and 122 neutrons if we ignore all the other isotopes. Just look how similar they are. But if we put a huge amount of these atoms together, we have two very different metals, gold and mercury. Gold is solid at room temperature, and the mercury, on the other hand, is in liquid form. And this is how Confucianism works. Talking about Confucianism, I guess most Westerners feel strange about it. It's something from China, and only Chinese believe it. Some Westerners say Confucianism is a religion, some say it's a philosophy. If you're curious and watch a video about Confucianism, you'll probably become even more confused. This chapter is here to the rescue. But don't worry, this is not an introduction of Confucianism. I'm only going to talk about the core mechanism of Confucianism, not the details. Confucius lived in a time when China was in constant wars. Like many other philosophers, Confucius wanted to do something to change the world so people would stop fighting each other and live in peace. It was nothing unique in China. Back then, about 2,500 years ago, population on Eurasia continent was increasing everywhere significantly, so conflicts among people also increased in the same manner. Philosophers emerged in the East and in the West, trying to solve the problem. Historians call it the Exile Age. Like many other philosophers, Confucius traveled in China trying to convince those kings that his idea would make a better world, but no one listened. Confucius considered himself a failure. He returned to his home and began to teach young people about his idea. After he died, his students carried on and spread the word. Confucianism thus lived on. About 300 years passed. The Han Dynasty decided to accept Confucianism and abandoned all the other philosophies. Knowing this history is important because something quite similar happened in Roman Empire almost at the same time. Roman Empire also embraced the new idea and abandoned all the other ideas. And that idea was Christianity. The Westerners are familiar with this part of history, so I'm going to skip the background stories. Fast forward, about 600 years later, again something similar happened in Arabic world. Arabs also embraced a new idea and abandoned everything else, and that was Islam. I want to pause the topic for a moment and talk about something else first. We could be easily confused by the style of a thing and forget its true nature. Let me give you an example. For so long, people have been asking two questions. What's the meaning of life? What's the purpose of life? It's tempting to believe that the final answers are what matter, but the final answers are not the true nature of these questions. People have very different life experiences. In the end, they would have very different answers. Ask 100 people, they'll probably give you 100 different answers. Some could be inspiring, some could be pure nonsense to you. So the answers are not important. They are completely irrelevant to the questions. There are no ultimate answers that everyone would agree upon. What actually matters is the journey you took to find the answers. Because life is meaningless until you did something to make it meaningful. Life has no purpose until you created a purpose for it. By seeking answers, you made your life meaningful. This journey is what really matters, regardless what kind of answers you eventually will find. After understanding this, we can stop misplacing our attention. So stop focusing on the different styles of these three ideas, Confucianism, and Christianity, and Islam. Take a closer look. You'll notice that the core mechanisms of all three ideas are exactly the same. That is, change the world by changing yourself. You're not an angel yourself. How can you expect this world to be a paradise? And that's what all these ideas did. They all reshaped the people's behaviors, only in different styles. But I have to remind you, and this is crucial, never think about 100% efficiency. In reality, the efficiency probably could only reach like 10%, maybe 20%. That means these ideas are not going to reshape us into something completely different, like angels. Only small changes, but small changes are already good enough for a better world. That's why I show you the pictures of atoms at the beginning. Small changes are the point, actually. Big changes are harder to accomplish, and the people don't like them. Small changes are much easier to be implemented and sustained in the society for a long time. So how does Confucianism reshape the Chinese? And this is where Confucius' genius lies. Confucius observed the human lives and noticed that everyone grew up in a family, no exceptions. So families are definitely the places for reshaping people. He suggested that everyone should treat their parents like gods. But why would this method work? Well, you must understand that we tend to be self-centered. There's nothing wrong with it. It's something very natural. After we were born, we look at this world around us for years. When we stand still, this world is still. When we spin, the world spins. It's inevitable that we will take it for granted that we are the center of this world. By treating your parents like gods, you have to put someone else into your little world. And by doing that, you will offset yourself from the center a little bit. After you grow up under this condition, you will always keep other people in your world, and you will always consider other people. So you will become a little less selfish. When people are less self-centered, less selfish, the internal conflicts among people will be reduced. A system will be running at much higher energy efficiency because we don't have to waste energy on solving internal conflicts anymore. Then running a giant, peaceful, and sustainable organization becomes possible. The core mechanisms of Christianity and Islam are the same. Ever since you were a little kid, you have to put God or Allah into your world. By doing so, you offset yourself from the center of your world a little bit. You would become less self-centered. You'll be more likely to consider other people's interests. Furthermore, Christians and Muslims all developed a system that people have to live in communities surrounding the churches or the mosques. This lifestyle fortifies the readiness for sharing and caring. Chinese chose a different style to do the same thing, and that is lifelong family bonds. Everyone is deeply attached to their families for life. Confucius asked people to treat their parents as God, not just when they are children, but forever, even after their parents died. By doing that, everyone is constantly encouraged to diminish themselves, make others more important. Then the family bonds are extended to the society. Everyone is encouraged to treat their neighbors, classmates, co-workers as family members. The readiness for sharing and caring is fortified. But the most interesting way Chinese reshape people's behavior is Chinese table manners. You must know how Chinese eat their meals. Like this. Everyone holds a rice bowl, and the vegetables and the meat are in the center of the table to be shared. But I guess you probably don't know a crucial detail about Chinese table manners. That is wrong. When you grow up in a Chinese family, wrong is something you have to do for your life, especially on dinner table. Run is one of the virtues of Confucius, but it's very hard to translate without losing the true meaning. So let me just tell you how Chinese do it. Imagine this scenario. You are a 5-year-old kid, and you are having dinner with your parents and your siblings. There's a dish of a chicken on the table. You see a chicken leg inside the dish, the best part of a chicken, and you want it. So you reach out with your chopsticks toward the chicken leg. Do you know the consequences for doing that? You get scolded by your mother. Why? Because you didn't run. In this scenario, run means you must let other people eat the chicken leg by giving up the opportunity. You must put other people before you. So the correct thing to do is that you pick up a smaller piece of a chicken instead. If you are the youngest kid in the family, your mother very likely will pick up the chicken leg and put it into your bowl, and that's the only correct way to get it. Never reach for it by yourself. Your mother did that exactly because she gave up her opportunity for you, and you appreciate what your mother did for you. After you grow older, you have to do the exact same thing for your little sisters and brothers. You have to give up your opportunity for them. If one day you have a chance to eat dinner with some Chinese, the true Chinese who grew up in real Chinese families, you will notice that Chinese would keep doing this during the meal. They would keep asking others to eat the best part of the food first. If there's one last piece of meat left in the dish, they would ask around who wants it before they pick it up for themselves. This lifelong training changed Chinese subtly. In real life, they also tend to put others before themselves. And since everyone is doing that, millions of people can live in a giant city peacefully. But of course, as I mentioned previously, don't expect any idea to work with 100% efficiency. Never gonna happen. 10% or maybe 20% are good enough to change our world. Now, if you know some Chinese, you might notice that nowadays Chinese kids don't really treat their parents like gods anymore. That's true. The family life today in China has changed significantly. When I was a kid, about 6 years old, my mother sent me to my uncle's. It was a remote village. Some of the old tradition was preserved almost perfectly there. My grandparents, especially my grandfather, behaved exactly like a god all the time. He didn't talk too much. Actually, most time he didn't talk at all, just sitting there in silence. Because if he opened his mouth, what he said would be the law. If the whole family was arguing about something, what he said would be the final decision. If someone made mistakes, what he said would be the verdict. But my uncle, on the other hand, behaved nothing like a god already. He talked to his children and me all the time. He was very funny, telling us jokes quite often. Nowadays, the new generation parents behave even less like gods. They are more like friends to their children. So what happened? Well, public schools happened. The old style family training is outdated. Public schools replaced it. But the core mechanism has changed. It's still about change the world by changing yourself. It's still about reshaping people subtly. Nowadays, all the children have to go to school. At first, they have to stay there for a few hours a day, then 8 hours, then even 12 hours. Children spend more time in schools than in their families. They communicate and interact with other children more often. They will quickly learn that being too self-centered has very negative consequences, because nobody likes it. If you're too self-centered, other kids will isolate you, so you have no choice. You must put other kids into your world and offset yourself from the center of your world a little bit. And since children have to go to school for 12 years, that's long enough to reshape everyone permanently. Furthermore, in public schools, teachers replace parents as the educators. Unlike parents, teachers are professionally trained on educating children. They have to study and pass the tests in colleges before they are allowed to teach children in classrooms. Their education techniques are based on serious studies and constantly being improved by more studies all over the world. So teachers can educate children more effectively. They are able to discourage selfish behaviors and encourage sharing and caring with the better results. They are also capable of observing each child and using different approach to guarantee most children have a chance to be reshaped properly. So why didn't we do this earlier? Simple. Running public school is expensive. No country could afford to do that before the Industrial Revolution. Alright, you probably still have no clear idea what Confucianism is. It's very complicated. Different reinterpretations make it even more confusing. But I hope you grasp the basic idea of its core mechanism. We're easy to be fooled by the appearances. That's what's been happening for thousands of years. We see people doing different things all over the world, but we fail to see all the differences are only styles. The core mechanisms are always the same. Why do I believe that? Because I deeply believe that evolution doesn't have endless choices. More likely, there's only one possible solution for any problem. A giant organization would never work without the changing of the individuals. This is the only possible solution. Confucianism, Christianity, and Islam are powerful exactly because they successfully change the people into team players that are suitable for a giant organization. But these ideas are outdated today. They finished their historical missions and are replaced by something more effective. As long as we get the core mechanism right, the style is not important. At the end of this chapter, let me quote from God of War, Ragnarok. It is the nature of a thing that matters, not its form.
It needs the blessing of a great blacksmith.
What? No, I can't bless shit. I don't have all my soul bits. The blessing wouldn't mean squat.
It is the nature of a thing that matters, not its form.
All right. May this weapon strike true. May it be wielded with wisdom.